Hello, how are you? Again, COHRE is talking human rights. Today I want us to look at the history of human rights. How did they come about? Who brought these ideologies and why did they even think about this? Because we have this belief, some people, we hear people say human rights is a foreign norm, it's not part of our living, and I think we need to understand more where these ideologies are coming from. We all know that human rights resulted from the world of chaos, turmoil, and war, killings, and lots of people who were weak being murdered, being mistreated. So there was that desire of dignity, freedom, and equality. So this is what created the United Nations in 1945. So with the coming of United Nations, there seemed to be one desire of a world of peace. And it is this that made the growth of human rights. We know that the human rights backbone is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was adopted in 1948. But what are these Universal Declaration of Human Rights? That will be for another day. But what I want us to know now is that with the adaptation of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, there was that kind of agreement. We remember that the first United Nations was formed by 58 nations, and they all had their background, they all had their ideologies, they all had their levels of economic growth, they all had their religious and cultural background. However, one thing seemed common, and this was an international agreement that every human being needs some form of dignity. There was some universal belief that people need to be treated very well. So, regardless of their background, regardless of their differences, regardless of their economic aspirations, regardless of their development, the 58 nations all believed that they needed peace. And they could not attain this peace unless they created some form of guidance. Some form of guidance based on the beliefs that all human beings will require. And this is what formed the human rights. There's no nation that didn't feel a common need for these structures. There was every nation, regardless of their ideologies, their political differences, their cultural background, every nation believed that they needed some form of peace, some form of freedom, some form of dignity for their own people. And this is what formed human rights. 1948. To date, most countries that are subscribed to these nations that even don't subscribe to these nations, feel a sense of humanity, feel a sense of desire to have peace. And it is what brought up these human rights. A right to freedom of expression, a right to freedom of opinion, a right to life, a right to information, a right to education, a right to freedom of opinion, religion, culture, a right to dignified living. And this is what formed human rights. So now we have to ask ourselves, were these necessary? Are they for a country and not good for another? Are people different given different backgrounds? Are people different given different religious background, are people not desiring dignity because of their background, because of their state, because of, this is what we need to think about. And we all know that every human being needs peace. Every human being needs rights. Every human being needs security. You need to feel a sense of a right to asylum, to have a sense of a right to education, to have a sense of a right to an adequate kind of living. And this is all about the way we live, the way we live with each other. Okay, pull this out of politics, bring it back to your neighborhood. How do you want to live with your neighbor? How do you want your neighbor to treat you? How do you want your local council to treat you? How do you want your husband to treat you? How do you want your parent to treat you? And this is all about living life in peace. Without human rights, respect, there's turmoil. So when we talk of human rights, many people say that's a foreign norm, that's not us. But one thing we have to put in our mind is that human rights are universal. Human rights are universal. And because they're universal, or that are universal, because every human being needs certain form of dignity, certain form of freedom, certain form of life. And this is why sometimes I put it to a human figure. When you look at a human being, when they say human rights are born with, you got eyes, you got hands, you got ears, you got legs, you got arms, and each part of this, you got lips. Each part of this, to me, feels like a human right. The eyes, once they are blocked, it is like someone is restraining your right to see. If the arms are bound, it seems as if someone is holding your arms to defend yourself. If your legs are tied, it means that someone is blocking your movement. If your mouth is sealed, it means that someone is gagging you from speaking. And that is making you a non-human. And for me, that's how I relate human rights to living a human body. So, till next time, we will look at what human rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights really means. Join us next time. Bye.